Why does podcasting beat other kind of channels like blogs, for example, like WeChat moments, for example? Now, a podcast, when people start listening or seeing your podcast, you're creating this deep connection. Your voice creates intimacy. And other factors, like other formats, like a blog, you don't have the voice. 38% of communication is your voice, right? So just you and me, no matter where we are in the world, just you guys listening to my voice. We're building this intimacy. We build trust even faster. Now remember, people listen to the Trump podcast for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. And this is at this time like you and me today. This is how we're really creating the trust, the intimacy, new relationships, right? And the average attention of people listening to podcasts is around 38 minutes. But I also have to say, guys, I have seen podcasts where people just listen for 8 minutes. But I'm really surprised. Some very highly educated business people I've met, they seriously listen to podcasts for 1.5 hours, right? So keep that in mind. That's why we need to use also like Stella. That's why I'm saying podcasting. It's the new PR. It's a new tool that everyone needs to have nowadays.
Hi there, welcome to the replay of our after hours discussions with professional coaches. Your exclusive complimentary Sunday session for all of our community around the world, where coaching minds unite with our people to create real world results. I am Adrian Cahill, your host and founder of the Motivate community, and more recently, Monday Morning Motivation. As a global trainer in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, coaching, and hypnosis, this weekly gathering brings some of my colleagues from trainings, my fellow students and coaches all together in one place where we can discuss, share, help change the world by delivering free, quality information that's here to help you transform.
So, first of all, I'd love to know, give me a short message in a chat. Do you have your own business, or do you have are you more interested in lifestyle, or what do you do? Write a message in the chat, please. I'd love to know a bit about you so that I can individualize our presentation. I know that Alicia has this creativity and AI business. Oh my gosh, she's the creativity and AI queen. Yes. Mark, okay, business, naturopath and coach. What's naturopath? Please let me know. Yeah, Stella, I already know your business with PR consulting and advertising. Mark, that sounds interesting. Are we talking about natural healing, or Adrian's here for his lifestyle? Great. How it can make the business more enjoyable too. Nutritionist and herbalist. So cool, Mark. Also let me know in which city you are, because we haven't met yet. Harry, I already know. Peter, or anybody else, Frank, feel free to let me know. Marina, hello. Beautiful. Yes, let me know if you have a business or you're here for lifestyle so that I can use more examples towards you. Good. Okay. So who is this masterclass for? Number one, whether you're an entrepreneur, it could be interesting for you. Whether you are into marketing or advertising like Stella here, your sales representative. Actually, many of us who have their own businesses, we also are sales representatives, right? At the end, you're constantly selling yourself. Also, if you're a coach, a consultant, but guys, to be honest, anybody who's interested in podcasting and a good lifestyle, welcome to the session. Let me see the answers in the chat. Okay. Ooh, Alicia has a podcast idea. All mainly conceptually build out and have people to interview. Just need to check the tech, workflow, and such to make sure I started right. Love it. Oh, Mark's also in Townsville. I still have to come and visit you guys. Cool. Good. What can you expect for today? I mean, number one, why does this masterclass and the topic matter? Most important is no matter what we do, whether we talk about podcasting or anything else, it's about modeling the best, right? So why do we need to reinvent the wheel, whether it's you who wanted to start a podcast, or as I said, it could be anything. And number two, also always we want to think about like while you go through this masterclass, like do you actually like what do you want to do by yourself? Like Alicia, for example, she knows who to interview and she's already prepared some stuff, right? But Alicia is a super busy lady. So the question is, how much of these new projects, for example, her starting a podcast, should she do herself or maybe outsource? And number three, something to reconsider while we go through this, it's all about the quality, for example, of the tag, of the cutting. We have Estrelita here in the chat. She's been a great help for me in my business and her colleague John as well when it came to quality and podcasting. How can you like really improve like the work quality? And number four, reclaiming your time. So also keep that in mind before you make a decision, maybe after today's class. Do you want to have your own podcast or not? And also, how do you manage your time? Work smart is the principle, not work hard. How can we embrace technology, AI? So that's why today I'm also going to share a little bit of some cool tips with you on AI that I use. And a few more things that I want you to take away today is uncover the hidden gold mine. Yes, podcasting is actually a gold mine. It's a growing market. Number two, also, how can you actually get leads through podcasting? I know we have some business owners here, whether it's a lifestyle business or anything else. Number three, how can you access ChatGPT? I call it 5 level. Well, no matter what kind of AI you are currently use, leverage that basically. Number four, position yourself as an industry authority. Stella, you said you wanted visibility, right? Now, the visibility, I'm going to call now industry authority. How can you not just be visible, but actually be an authority in your market, in your industry? And last but not least, yes, we want to boost the brand itself, whether it's the brand Stella or the brand of your company. Good. So, hey, quick question for everybody who's American and not American. Why did Donald Trump win? How did Donald Trump actually win many new voters in his election? Do you have an idea? Do you know what he did towards the end? Feel free to write it in the chat or let me know if you know. Oh, Jay, good to know you also want to start a podcast. Okay, I give you a hint. It doesn't matter if we like him or not, right? But funnily, yes, exactly, Alicia. He was on podcast. And he was on some of the world's best, most common podcasts that are trusted. Like here, Joe Rogan, look at this, 57 million views on YouTube. Now, actually, just last week with my podcast, we got 22K views of my latest podcast of David Xiaoshan. So yeah, I still have to work a bit till 57, but people listen to these podcasts with Donald Trump, also Lex Friedman, and they listen for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. And while they listen and watch Donald Trump, people started to say like, wow, he's actually quite decent. He's quite a cool dude. And they started to create this trust. And he basically had like a channel to speak to people, whether they were just like on a treadmill, they were in a car, but he built up this relationship to so many new people in the US. And then he basically won these new voters for him through the podcast. Isn't that amazing? So for anybody who doesn't know me yet, so this is me, Janine Jakob, a German based in China for nearly 8 years. I love going on stages. This was me in November speaking in California. That was my 8-year dream, where I shared the stage with amazing Tonino Lamborghini. You might know Lamborghini the car or the Lamborghini hotels. Now this year is Mike Slade. He worked very closely with Steve Jobs, with also like Bill Gates and so on. So I always believe in basically going around the world to learn from the best, like Adrian. Those are companies I've worked with for my training and coaching business. Basically, I do a lot of like soft skill trainings, leadership, mental fitness, and nowadays also more AI. And right now I'm in Sydney, actually. Just a few days ago, I gave an AI training as well for executives. The newest company I started is Podcast Genie Marketing, where we basically create podcasts for other people. But yeah, more about this later. So, how did my own journey with podcasting start? Well, I love Oprah Winfrey. Anybody in here loves Oprah Winfrey? Alicia does? Yes. Oh, Janika's here too. Good to see you. So, Oprah Winfrey has the Oprah Winfrey Show, right? But she also has her own podcast. I just listened to it again a few days ago. And I always felt like, wow, I want to have a show like Oprah, where we talk about amazing books, where we talk about wonderful business or like any kind of leader, any role model. We talk about life topics, we talk about success. This is basically like the root. It was also the root for my the Global Growth Zone, this online website, and so on. And being inspired by Oprah, I then just started, and I was like living in Shanghai, right? And I was like, wow, in Shanghai, you have access to so many cool people. Adrian quickly like flying in, Jay sometimes flying in from Australia. I'd never been to Australia before. Amazing Alicia and Harry and like you guys, right? People from so many different cultures and backgrounds and topics and businesses. So I was like, we need to interview them. I need to like let their voices be heard around the world because I love learning. And of course, for me personally, interviewing these amazing people. Oh, you see Alicia here too, right? To be honest, that's how I learn. That's how I learn for free, right? I didn't have to pay somebody like here, Australian Heidi, who's a celebrity in China as well, or anybody else. It was like free education for me, all right? Because I just feel passionate about learning. And I just get way too excited. Like when Alicia told me she had her own business in America, the ups and downs, and I was like, wow, give me some popcorn. Tell me more. So that's you. I hope you guys feel the passion, right? It all started just with a passion, my podcast journey. So that's why my first podcast was called From Shanghai to the World, because I interview people from Shanghai and spread the message around the world. Now, later on, it developed further. Because sometimes, like for example, Adrian's friend Chris here in Sydney, he was saying, "Well, I want to talk about this topic and that topic. Do I want to do 2 podcasts?" But remember, it's time consuming, right? The first question is, no matter like how you start, what topic are you passionate about? Send me a message in the chat now. Like if you were about to start a podcast, what is the topic that you really want to talk about? What are you passionate about topic wise? Exactly, Ivan. Just start, right? What topic are you passionate about, Harry? Stella, Marina,
I
Celia.
feel I feel excited seeing these faces on the screen, particularly now, in the gallery here, and on the screen.
Amazing. I love it. Yes. I'm happy you guys joined by a camera. Wonderful. What else, guys, do you feel passionate about? Which topic would you want to have on a podcast, would want to talk about? Oh, great, Jay. Yes, men's mental health and denigration by society. Oh my gosh, this is so meaningful. I do not know a single podcast about this yet, but maybe because I'm not a man, I'm not sure. Empowering professionals to change their lives by innovating their flexible careers by Alicia. Mark, health, personal development, wealth. Nice. Harry, raising consciousness in the community. Jenny, nice to see you. Writer's Core. Beautiful. See, you have just laid down the groundwork for your podcast. And you can always evolve, right? Remember, my podcast was called From Shanghai to the World. And at one point, I started to go on different business trips. And I was like, I also meet these amazing people in other places, right? I want to interview them too. So that's why nowadays my podcast is called Business Meets Life, because I talk about success topics like some of you guys want to talk about, but I also talk about life, your happiness, your well-being, right? And because I go on these business trips, I had somebody from Dubai, from Canada, I interviewed somebody in New York and Bali. And again, most important is that you really love what you're doing. And this is the foundation, basically. So Adrian was saying, I'm thinking of a focus on something more like enjoyment, making joy in life rather than healing, fixing, solving. Wow. I love it.
One thing, when talking with Chris Collingwood in Sydney there, we were talking about anxiety, and we find anxiety, depression really easy fixes. But to be known as the anxiety person was like, you don't want to. And in coaching, we're often focused on fixing problems and creating more of that. We're having discussions every day or every week on how do you create more enjoyment in your life, or how do you create more enjoyment in your business, is obviously going to create an abundance of enjoyment.
Absolutely.
So I'm just thinking about the result rather than
See, that's why I love always discussing things with Adrian. That's why he's my mentor, trainer, coach for a long time, because it's always good to bounce back your ideas.
And if I see there, I can see there that you had an interview with Dino or Alicia there, and I could listen to them and then I can just write to either of them and say, hey, I was just listening to your podcast with Janine. Could I ask you a little question? Yeah. So it's also a great way for your closest friends and the people around you to connect with great minds as well.
Absolutely.
Extra
and
benefits.
People are normally very approachable too. So yeah. Now, I still want to tell you a little bit more about my foundation on the podcast, how I also started. So it all started basically with a passion, right? So sorry. No, I just messed it up. I have another question for you guys now. So we know your topics, right? If you just think about podcasts, what's the first thought that's coming up in your mind? You don't have to scan the QR code. Just write it in the chat here, right? What's the first thought? Because some of us, we live in China, others in Australia. We have people from different parts of the world here, right? And different people have different opinions about podcasts. What is your first thought when thinking of podcast? Okay. Stella was saying cutting edge information for leaders, sharing stories, commitment, consistency, value, or commitment, time, costs. Ooh, that sounds serious, Adrian. Community, nice, Janika. A place to share, Nadine. Nice to see you, Nadine. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah. So interestingly, those are a couple of answers that I got from another masterclass that I gave. It's very different from what you have sent me now, right? There's no right or wrong. But what I've noticed is that in China, although we have 89 million podcasts in China already, a lot of people, when I say the word podcast, they don't actually know what it is. Whereas if I speak to Americans or Europeans, many of them, and especially Americans, are already listening to it a lot while they're doing grocery shopping, they're on the car, on the metro, they do things at the same time. So it also depends on who are you targeting, right? And today, when we talk about podcast, what I mean with podcast is, as we could see here, right? I basically have a one-on-one interview, like a normal conversation, right? Like Adrian, I recorded Adrian's podcast with Chris Williamson in Bali after the NLP training. And we were just having a conversation, except for there was a camera that recorded while we were talking. How many times did I think when Alicia and I are just like chatting, and I was like, oh my gosh, we should have recorded this. The world should have seen that and heard it, right? So basically, it's just like you do it either with camera or without camera, but a podcast. And you're just having a conversation. It could also be just you by yourself. This week, I published my first ever solo podcast. I was just like spontaneously speaking. I just had a couple of bullet points and I recorded it, still helping to give value to people, right? So don't overthink, but basically via audio or with video, you can just record a conversation. So now here's a little bit of data for you guys. You know, the Germans, we love data, a couple of numbers. Let me see, Jay was saying a way to connect to target audience. Yes, Alicia, we have these moments very often. That's true. We need a 24/7 camera probably when we're meeting. Okay, so I love these data. So keep that in mind for your own business or for your own lifestyle. 32%. Here, look at this. This is only US data, okay? Like in the US, 32% of American adults listen to podcasts monthly. That's a lot. Now, I gotta be honest, if you check now the data for like Asian countries, it will be lower. But in Asia, podcasts are fast growing, not only China. Now, 61% of listeners bought after hearing an ad. So basically what you can do is a podcast, whether you talk about like Adrian, about enjoyment, about your lifestyle, you can do a podcast about men's health, about any topic. But if you wanted to, you could even include an ad. People could pay you money to put their ad inside. And as you can see, 61% of listeners, they bought after hearing an advertising inside the podcast, right? Or remember, how many people then voted for Donald Trump after listening to him? Now, check this out. Again, this is an American statistic because in the US, podcast is just so huge already. 45% of listeners earn 75,000 US dollars and more annually. So let me break this down for everybody who doesn't know about US dollars, okay? Now, this is basically like the high income people. 45% of the people who listen to the podcast right now, they are probably well educated, or they have already a very good income, right? So especially if you're a coach, a consultant, you have a marketing and AI agency, you have, you do here like, you're a nutritionist. Somebody who doesn't have any money is not going to hire Mark as a nutritionist, right? You need to have a little bit of money to basically afford it. Or for Stella with the PR, right? This is the target group you want to tackle, right? So 45% of them have a higher income. And now guess what? 38% of the higher percentage, no, they're like college educated, right? So they have a higher percentage of education than the general population. And that's why I ask you, who's your target audience? Who would eventually listen to this? Who do you want them to listen to? To be honest, for my podcast, Business Meets Life, I have a couple of students listening, but for me, the most important are like employees in companies, like medium, like level, and hopefully like upper level employees. So that's why I always ask you, who is your avatar, your target niche, your target audience? So keep that in mind. So the potential for podcasting is growing. Now, check this out. This also really excites me. Now, why does podcasting, this is for all the business owners here, why does podcasting beat other kind of channels like blogs, for example, like WeChat moments, for example? Now, a podcast, when people start listening or seeing your podcast, you're creating this deep connection. Your voice creates intimacy. And other factors, like other formats, like a blog, you don't have the voice. 38% of communication is your voice, right? So just you and me, no matter where we are in the world, just you guys listening to my voice. We're building this intimacy. We build trust even faster. Now remember, people listen to the Trump podcast for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. And this is at this time like you and me today. This is how we're really creating the trust, the intimacy, new relationships, right? And the average attention of people listening to podcasts is around 38 minutes. But I also have to say, guys, I have seen podcasts where people just listen for 8 minutes. But I'm really surprised. Some very highly educated business people I've met, they seriously listen to podcasts for 1.5 hours, right? So keep that in mind. That's why we need to use also like Stella. That's why I'm saying podcasting. It's the new PR. It's a new tool that everyone needs to have nowadays. Number two, you still have lower competition, especially in a market like China and Asia. You don't have so much competition yet. Now, let me tell you here, we have about like blogs and social media is saturated. We have about 600 million blogs versus in the world, maybe we have 2.5 million, sorry, in the US, we have 2.5 million podcasts. Now, apparently in China, I've been told it's 89 million podcasts. I can't even believe it's that much yet, but that's what they say, right? So it's just easy for you to stand out. You always want to do something different than your competition. You want to be the authority for real estate, for PR, for nutrition, for AI and creativity. You want to be this, right? So that's why a podcast is a really good new tool. Last but not least, number three, multitasking format. We are right? Peter, Frank, Stella, we are so busy all the time. Everybody's saying, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. Nobody has the time to really like watch a lot of things. That's why, for example, some people, they prefer listening to the podcast. They're not watching it. They go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, they just listen to it while they're like maybe cleaning, doing the housework, they're cooking, doing the grocery shopping, maybe they're just on the metro, driving the car, taking a shower, right? They're multitasking. But, and this is basically, you get to spend time, you get to spend this, you build up this relationship, although they're busy, they're not going to make an excuse this time. Or when they're in the gym, for example, right? Because most of the times they're too busy. But in those times, they're not. They're multitasking. And again, I highly recommend nowadays, instead of just recording via audio, go for the video format. Because, yeah, Alicia's nodding. There's so much more potential. Video format would be, for example, Billy, or maybe Stella on your WeChat channel, or I put it a lot on YouTube. Adrian does a lot of work with YouTube too, right? Because, there's different people. Some people like to watch and visually, that's how they learn. Me, for example. Other people just like to listen. So that's why, like, when you do your podcast, maybe put it in different formats. Also, for your marketing, you can actually easily reuse a 30 or 60-minute podcast. You can easily, like with AI, cut it into pieces and do like 30-second video, 1-minute video, put it on your social media. You already, with one podcast of 30 minutes, you can easily create different social media content for 2 weeks and longer just by doing this one podcast recording. And with the video, it's just so much easier, right? So, yes.
Hey, Janine.
Yeah.
Can I add in there as well? I completely, wholeheartedly believe and have taught for a long time with the belief that there's always someone you can offer value to, or be a bit of a role model for, or a mentor for. And with coaching, is there's always someone that's going through challenges that you've gone through before. You've had some experience with a breakup or something, and you can coach someone. There's always someone that can look up to you and get advice on the challenge you're getting through. So with a podcast, even if you don't get 1 million views, even if you don't get like 10,000 followers, it is an opportunity where you may end up with a stream of clients, or a new way for them to come in quite easily. Yeah.
Thank you for adding. Absolutely. And again,
I just wonder, like, statistically speaking, how many people would get clients from this? But if they did a decent enough job with the podcast, it wouldn't be that hard to statistically for everyone to get some better clients or business results through podcasting.
Yeah.
I just don't know about it getting 10,000 views, but getting 10 clients, yeah. I see that as a possibility. 10,000 views or 10,000 followers, but getting 10 like new customers buying, yeah.
And I'm so glad you raised this. I have more examples for this very shortly. So guys, stay with me. There's more reasons why everybody needs a podcast nowadays. So here we saw, this is just one statistic, that by hearing an ad on a podcast, 61% of people bought in the US, which is pretty high. And this goes back to, what is your goal, guys? Like, again, you don't need to have a couple of like super high views. It really depends on what you want to do, right? So podcasting, let's move on, and I get back to this very shortly with more examples. Now, podcasting, and we call it the know, like, trust factor. So number one, as I said, they want to hear you. I want to hear your voice, because your voice conveys authenticity and personality, right? You know that sometimes I love to give my power and my energy. I change the voice, right? But then, like, you also hear I can talk softly. You see different parts of Janine just by us now talking to each other, right? Number two, they spend the time with you now. Regular episodes, it's very important. You need to do it regularly. The people need to know on which day of the month, of the week, they can expect and at what time that your podcast is coming out, right? You basically like train them so that they can spend time with you. Number three, they will learn from you, as Adrian said, right? Like, your expertise might solve their issue. So a podcast is also like an ebook, like an Amazon bestseller. It's like a different tool how you can give value to your clients. It's a way how you can nurture, like in marketing, we are nurturing the clients as well, right? And then number four is basically they start to trust you now, especially if you do it regularly. That's why usually for the podcast, I know some people like Scott Pollack, he's a coach in Shanghai. He started his podcast recently. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's once per month, which is great. It's better than nothing. But I would highly recommend to you guys, do it at least bi-weekly, rather once per week, so that I think you have a better outcome and people start to know you for your podcast as well than just once per month. But again, I know it depends on your resources, time or money that you basically have, because it takes a little bit of time. Yes. Okay. Now, how did I actually meet Kevin Costner? Everybody knows, which movies have you watched of Kevin Costner? Anybody's a Kevin Costner fan? Which movies have you watched?
Bodyguard.
Robin Hood.
Yes, the Bodyguard, the one with him as a cowboy. Lots of movies.
You guys see my PPT?
Yes, we're seeing it.
Okay, good.
I love his movies.
Yes. Yeah. So
yes,
I'm still
that's
showing
the world. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a big Kevin Costner fan too, but the question is, how did I actually get to meet him, right? I mean, he's quite famous. Yeah, so here are some of his movies. The whole answer was actually through my coach JT Fox and his podcast, right? So several amazing people I have met only because he basically started to build up a relationship through his podcast with random people. A lot of these people who you see here, basically like John Paul DeJoria and other people, Tommy Hilfiger, it just started with the podcast. And he was not just saying, hey, random person, Adrian, Harry, I know we don't know each other, like for example on LinkedIn, do you want to buy my services?
I met one of these guys, Jack Cohen, down the bottom right. That was amazing. I was in a room of 200 people with that Jack Cohen there, and like to be with these people. Some of these names here, oh wow, Jack Cohen. I'll never forget hearing him.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So the nice thing is for the podcasting guys, like when I send LinkedIn messages, I sometimes record a video of me or I send a written message and I say, I reach out to these people. I call this the Dream 100 list. Everybody needs a Dream 100 list with all of the people and companies you want to work with. If you have a lifestyle business, like me, my goal now is to work completely location independent, right? Have clients in Dubai and Sydney, Shanghai, Germany, USA, but location independent, right? It's also lifestyle. But how do I get there? So basically, instead of just sending messages to these people on LinkedIn saying, hey, buy my services, I basically say, that's my Dream 100 list. Hey, Adrian, I love what you're doing. I think you're so inspirational. I've been following you for a while. I know what you've built up with your company. It's amazing. May I interview you for my podcast? And you know, it's a different way on like creating a relationship through LinkedIn, or it's a sales tool. And that's what JT basically did. He reached out to these amazing people and interviewed him for his podcast. Some will say no, others will say yes. And that's how basically through him and his podcast, I got to meet Kevin Costner last year. And same here. I recently joined this 8-week mergers and acquisitions course online. And Adam Coffey, he actually used to work under GE, General Electric, with Jack Welch. And he scaled 58 companies. Out of the 58 companies, he actually sold 2 of them for $1 billion. So I took his and JT's course. But again, how did I get access to an amazing person like Adam Coffey, who's in the US, living in Texas, haven't even been there yet? Through his podcast, right? So I hope you guys start to see what the power of podcasting is. And I want to add on this. So right now I'm in Sydney for 5 weeks, okay? And I interviewed like through my network, my friend, he introduced me to his boss to interview him for my podcast. This was like about 9 months ago. So his name is Laxman Pai, an Indian who runs a marketing technology company in Australia. He has clients also in the US, has a big team in India too, not only Australia. So Lux and I had never met in person before. We just had a quick like WhatsApp messaging and that's it. Set up the podcast. I prepared the questions. We started the recording. We immediately connected because my friend who introduced us, he knew that it would go really well, right? So what happened? I interviewed Lux. We connected. We kept in touch. He became a little bit like my mentor now. And then because I was in Sydney now, I messaged him. I said, hey, Lux, I'm in Sydney. Do you want to meet face to face? Last week, I went to his office here in Sydney. We spent, I think, nearly 3 hours together. And then he was just like, we spoke about so many topics, collaborations. He even offered me a job if I wanted to. And, you know, it was just great to see how this connection just continued. And I'm not saying that it will happen immediately. It might take time, but Don't underestimate the power of relationships that you can build up with a podcast. And that's why, like, for example, here with Adam Coffey and JT, it took them 2-3 years until they started a lot of projects together and investing and scaling companies and selling companies together. It might be a process. With Lux and me, we know each other for 9 months now. It was the first time we met in person. Who knows how we're going to work together now in the next upcoming weeks and months? And it all started with the podcast. Another tip for everybody who wants to use your podcast as a sales approach or for leads. Write this down, guys. When you interview a person, at the end, you could say, oh, Harry, I really enjoyed interviewing you for my podcast. You could ask, Harry, how was your experience with this, right? And then I could ask if he had a good experience. So is there somebody in your network who you think would really benefit from speaking in my podcast? What you now do is you are tapping, and successful people, they love to share their network usually, right? We're all bridges. And then like Harry would probably say, oh my gosh, let me connect you to these or these people. I think you should really connect with this one. And this is how it happened also. Like this is how you tap into other people's networks. So you see, Sella, if you want visibility, now you basically tapped into another person's network and their visibility. And that's why I always like ask the people when you speak on my podcast, please also have the courtesy and reshare it to your own network if you think the podcast went well, right? Hey, Jay, welcome back. Now, another fun fact. So there's my friend Johannes, a German. He used to work for Porsche in Shanghai. So I interviewed Johannes for my podcast. And then afterwards, he was like, he was at an event. He met a lady from Germany, and she was quickly in Shanghai. And he was like, oh my gosh, I need to connect you two through LinkedIn. You should have Priscilla on your podcast. Now, guess what? I reached out to her. She was only in Shanghai for a week. I was not able to schedule her in. 1 year later, I reached out to her again. I was like, you know what? Let me just give it a try. I sent her a message on LinkedIn and Instagram and asked her, hey, do you want to be in my podcast? Right? I gave some value and reshared some of her LinkedIn stuff. I commented on her LinkedIn so she has visibility. And she apologized. She totally forgot about it. Yeah, and immediately she scheduled in a time. So we were supposed to have a podcast. And then what happened? The first time when we were basically chatting and we were supposed to now do the recording, we just ended up chatting for 45 minutes, getting to know each other. Because some people, before they do the podcast, remember the power of podcasting, relationship building. Some people, they just want to get to know you first. They don't want to hit straight like Luxman, who didn't really know me, and we did straight the recording, right? So Priscilla, although she's a serial entrepreneur, super successful, and all around the world, she took the time and we just spoke for 45 minutes. And again, we found so many ways on how we can work together. This only happened because I interviewed Johannes, who then introduced me to Priscilla, although it took a year. And then guess what happened? Priscilla, I didn't even ask her. She's a networker, a master networker like Adrian, like Alicia. And then she connected me automatically on LinkedIn with 3 other people. Oh my gosh, Janine, you should interview this person from different places in the world. And this one person, he immediately scheduled a call with me. My intention was to interview him for my podcast, right? What happened? He is now my newest coach, and he's in Dubai, and he became my coach, actually. I haven't even interviewed him for my podcast yet, but hey, there was purpose behind it, right? Do you see the power of podcasting? And hey, you know what? Let me take this one step further. Now that we're talking about it, who knows? Maybe you're going to meet your future husband or wife through podcasting. You never know, right? Because you basically also attract amazing people that you want to mingle with, and you get to meet these amazing people. Yes. So are you guys with me? Hope you get more and more attracted on why it's so important and why everybody should have a podcast, right?
Do you want to go into the visualizing thing and have us visualize them, or we'll leave that for later?
We can do that. But maybe we can do this a little bit later. The visualizing, I love that. It's a great idea, actually. Yes. So last but not least, what I really wanted to share with you guys here are like 7 AI podcast secrets that you can utilize. And these are just a few out of many so that you can also generate more revenues, right? I mean, I don't want you guys to just be like driven by money or so. But, and a thing that I do is I have a specific prompt for my podcast. And then I created inside here, ChatGPT, I created my own kind of GPT. And that one actually, sorry, I didn't want to share this. I want to show you here, this one. Why is this? Oh, here it is. So I wanted to show you this actually. Here, inside ChatGPT, I actually created my own GPT. And this podcast expert is my own GPT that I created, only focused on my podcast. So I don't have to prompt it over and over again. And I didn't have to buy another software for it. I can just use this one for anything related to my podcast. So that's the power of being smart, utilizing like automation and AI nowadays. Because having a podcast, it easily takes just one podcast episode of 30 to 45 minutes plus social media posting can easily take you up to 20 hours. And now remember, if you did this every week, right, how much time it would be. Okay, so that is my first tip. And this could also be for content creation if you use this. Good. Number 2, model the best, right? So what you want to do is you really want to make sure that you basically look at who has the most successful podcast. Also check your competition if something is already existing in that field. And then I'm not saying you should copy them. Don't get me wrong. Use AI, and this is one of the amazing marketing softwares I'm using, the Lab AIpreneurs, that I use to model that to model websites, sales funnels, advertising, social media content, YouTube video hooks, and so on. So we really need to stop reinventing the wheel. That's what I did when I started my own business, because I had no freaking idea. Coming from corporate, working at HP for 7 years, I didn't know how to run your own business, although I learned a bit at university. But always make sure everything you do, model from the best, model from what's working for other people. Tip number 3, with AI nowadays, I mean, we can like make everything tailor-made, the content and so on. Now, let's say I don't speak Chinese, right? My Chinese is medium level. I could use my AI avatar here on HeyGen, great platform. I can use my AI avatar and I could make I could easily translate the whole podcast episode in Chinese. Or instead of me literally recording it right here, right now, I can just like put in some text, for example, do a solo podcast, but with my AI avatar. That's how I that's how I save money again. And it's fast content creation. Again, this goes back to what you want and your values and your goals. But the more personalized listener engagement you can get, for example, through the language, Chinese, Spanish, whatever it is, the better you can connect with people. Also, you really want to identify like the listener, what kind of types they are. You want to find out more about who's listening, ask some key questions, and really tailor the content. You can, Stella, right? You can only tailor the content here if you know who the target audience is, because you will talk differently to an 18-year-old German girl versus a 50-year-old Japanese businessman. Yes, and then of course, here for your podcast, you basically can have double engagement. So one client like doubled like listener engagement by adding a pre-podcast survey with no other changes. So there's a lot of different ways how you can really like have engagement of your audience, of even like the speaker. Good. Number 4, monetization. There's literally like so many ways on how to monetize. Even if you don't have like 1 million followers, it doesn't matter. It could just be that you strategically use the time when I interview you, that you leverage that relationship. It could be that you add advertising inside your podcast. It could be that you have a separate community. Alicia built up this amazing platform. She has this wonderful membership now and so many services she offers for different members regularly on AI. For anybody who hasn't learned about AI yet, talk to Alicia, become like part of her amazing platform. Now, she could say, I have a podcast, right? Now, there's the normal podcast that everybody can listen for free. But maybe there's behind the scene content, like a very exclusive, like sharing, learning from that special person that only the members will get access to. Again, a way to monetize. Or there's platforms like Castos that help you to monetize in different ways. So you see, there's so many opportunities. Number 5, AI-driven podcast marketing. So there's amazing AI tools, again, like the Lab AIpreneurs, or like, just ChatGPT, DeepSeek, where you can automate social media, like the creation. Like with this platform, the Lab AIpreneurs, it creates me with one click 7 days of content for my newest podcast episode, specialized for LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and so on. Just with one click, right? And then I put it in my CRM system. I schedule it. My team helps me on that. There's just so much possible. Now, another thing here, if you do business development, for example, I knew I would be going to Dubai. I gave my first coaching and training in Dubai recently, right? So, and also now in Sydney, I'm here for the second time. I knew I would go to Dubai. I knew I would go to Sydney. So I leveraged this. I basically made sure that, like, I interviewed this very famous Dubai couple. They're celebrities. They have more than 1 million followers in Dubai and on TV. Many people also in the UK would know these people. So I made sure that I really republish the content of these people on my social media. Although this is more than a year ago that I was actually shooting it. It helped me with my personal branding, with authority building. Oh, Janine is in Dubai. Oh, she has already worked or she has connections to Dubai. It looks like I already know the Dubai market somehow. I branded myself with these people. That's why I say the power of podcasting for your lifestyle, your personal brand, your business brand. A podcast creates your brand, makes you an authority. Not everybody gets to meet such amazing people or gets to interview them. Or I tell you another thing. Do you all know the shoes Reebok? Reebok, the shoes? Yeah, you do, right? We all know shoes. There's not just Nike and so on. So here I had interviewed the Reebok founder, Joey Foster, for my podcast. He sold his company for, well, a lot of money, but he just turned 90 years old. What did I do? I posted last week saying happy birthday and like posted a picture of us and also of the podcast. That post got thousands of views on my social media. 2 people reached out to me on my LinkedIn. One of them has Joey actually on the board of one of his companies. Remember, Joey's 90 years old. He is fit like sneakers, flying around the world, doing business, giving speeches with his wife, Julie. Crazy. So just by reposting this podcast episode and doing a post, happy birthday, happy 90th birthday, Joey, I actually might have found a new collaboration partner. So you see, there's so much potential for your lifestyle, for your business, just through the podcast. Good.
Hey, Janine, in the NLP neuro-linguistic programming world, the number one YouTuber, maybe 100,000 followers, he's done quite well. And he's done it in, I think, 10 years. He started with podcasting, and he was talking with one of the older NLP guys, Steve Andreas in Colorado, and kind of had a mentoring relationship. And he just had a bit of a relationship with him and started resharing some of his models and speaking about his work, and piggybacked on Steve's credibility. And now he's the number one YouTuber in that whole category. Just a mentoring thing.
Wow, that's impressive, right? Thank you for sharing. So yeah, good. We already said this. Number 6. Enhance engagement with AI chatbots. So what I do for my clients, even we can easily, like, just for this specific podcast episode or for your whole podcast, we can integrate a chatbot or train a chatbot on your website. So listeners from your website can actually engage with this chatbot and ask more questions about your podcast, for example. Again, here, converting listeners into loyal customers. It's just one of the many ways. Last but not least, number 7, scale your podcast with AI analytics. So the most important thing is you want to track the performance. And once you have data, you can adjust your strategies. So last week, my podcast with David Xiaoshan, a Canadian TV host who's very famous in China, suddenly hit 22K views on YouTube. I still need to analyze why this is. Right now, I have no idea why this happened. But yeah, I use platforms like Go High Level. It's an amazing CRM tool to get data, analyze it. Also here to automate social media publishing. I'm gonna integrate an AI agent in there as well now. To do like WhatsApp communication and so on. Like, there's so much possible with AI now. Adrian, do I need to stop now, or do I have a couple more minutes, or are we continue with Q&A now? How much time do I have?
Oh, you don't need to stop. I've just got so many new ideas are coming through. So I'm loving this. According to our clock, we have another 25 minutes if you like. Now, we have great workshops like this every Sunday, but they're not like this. And who knows what the next one will be like, but come here every Sunday. That's our ad break. We have till another 30 minutes.
Okay, awesome.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.